How about now? Okay, there we go. Okay, let me know if you can hear my game audio now. Or at least my audio. Okay. Okie dokie. One moment. Okay, that was really weird. It just, for some reason, disconnected from my microphone. I just had to reset it up. Okay, so we'll cover everything really quickly. Basically, last time we dealt with Ifrit, and Thancred felt really bad because we got captured partially thanks to, well, him not being there at the right time. The other important thing to basically know right now is that Menphilia is basically being like, you've done really well. You've done all these great things. Also, now you're kind of screwed because turns out once you do a bunch of nice things, everybody wants a piece of you. So what's going to happen is the different grand companies are going to all want you, a great hero, to join their ranks. And give me a second real quick. Just need to set up. Now we have both. Okay, cool. So let's get back into it then. And I'll make sure to put a timestamp in the bottom for anyone who watches afterwards. Okay. As you can see, Lendriel, your recent exploits have garnered you attentions of the Grand Companies of Eorzea. The Grand Companies act basically as the de facto militaries for each of the nation states. You're not hearing the game music because if I click out of the game music, it doesn't play for you guys. Don't worry about that. They would not ordinarily go to such lengths to enlist new recruits, that they have evidence of their high regards for you. I find myself wondering how word of Lendriel's deeds spread so quickly, though. That the Immortal Flame should know of his triumph is to be expected, but what of the other Grand Companies? Referring to us defeating Ifrit. Beep! Fataru spreading our glory far and wide. Your reputation precedes you, Master Shige. 'Tis no ordinary man who can face a primal and emerge the victor. The Order of the Twin Adder has need of valiant men such as you. Join your strength to ours, friend, and together let us ensure the peace that ever reigns over the Twelveswood. What a pleasure it is to finally meet you, Master Shige. My comrades speak of you in the most glowing terms. Why, even before they aided us against the Amalja and their dread primal, yours was already a respected name in Ul'dah. Our people know you and love you well. A man of your talent belongs with the Immortal Flames. Join your strength to ours, friend, and together let us secure a prosperous future for Ul'dah. The Admiral was not exaggerating when she said you have the look of a hero. Full often does she speak of you, friend. It is only natural that we should want you for the Maelstrom. Join your strength to ours, and together let us see the grand vessel of the Limsa Laminsa to the shores of glory. Not really a vessel, but I guess it's an apt metaphor. I'm just here like, what? What? Oh, okay. Imagine if the Chinese, Russian, and US military just ran in and were like, join us! Very well. Though I'm quite sure you need no reminding, mayhap a brief summary of the situation would help to clarify your thoughts on this matter. As you know, the Grand Companies are all-encompassing organizations empowered to call upon the martial, economic, and technological resources of their respective city-states in times of strife. So, they act as de facto militaries and also kind of all-around everything, though each nation-state has its own, like, they'll have their own police forces, like with the Brass Blades or the Yellow Jackets. The Grand Companies kind of act, in a sense, they don't really actually act quite as militaries. They act more like the Japanese Defense Forces, because, and in some ways like our National Guard, though they are called to combat with such frequency that they end up being functionally a form of military. There are presently 3 such organizations in Eorzea: the Maelstorms of Limsa, the Order of the Twin Adder of Gridania, and the Immortal Flames of Ul'dah. Serving a grand company means serving a nation which belongs to. You will be charged with its defense and tasked with advancing its cause. In return for your faithful service, you will be furnished with various rewards, some of which may well prove useful to you in your other endeavors. If you are agonizing over which of the grand companies best deserves your loyalty, be at ease. The commitment you make this day need not be permanent. Should you wish to shift your allegiances at a later date, you are entitled to do so. And yet, I concede that there is no small choice you face. A thought occurs to me. You will of course recall that the 3 city-states are planning to hold a remembrance service. Well, as part of proceedings, I am given to understand that the leader of each grand company will deliver an address. Hearing these addresses ought to help you make an informed decision. What say you, my dear officers? A fine suggestion. You are as wise as you are beautiful, my lady. Very well. Let Lendriel hear our leader speak and then return with his decision. We eagerly await your answer. Cal, what have you decided who you will choose? So, Tataru. I'll probably go with Flames because I started in Ul'dah. Like that, it would be. I know full well that adventurers are by their nature a liberty-loving breed, and not best suited to the discipline of military service, but I strongly urge you to join the grand companies nonetheless. While a promise of reward is enticing, it is not the only benefit. In itself, it is not the only benefit. You are possessed of great power, Lendriel, and with it you are capable of doing untold good. Yet know that great power is wont to attract attention, not all of it friendly. There will be those who wish you ill, and you must needs be on the lookout for them. Yet however vigilant you are but one man in the midst of a grand company. In the midst of a grand company, however, you will be one man against many, a friend amongst friends. Your achievements will be shared, and so will the danger. I can think of no better arrangement. Of course, joining one organization need not mean leaving another. I hope that we can continue to rely upon your aid, and 12s know that we will have need of it in the days ahead. The Grand Companies seek to protect their own nations. We Scions, on the other hand, seek to preserve the future of Eorzea as a whole. Similar, yet not quite the same. Now then, I expect that you will be afield more often in the future. As such, I would have you carry this link pearl with you at all times. It will allow you to stay in touch regardless of location. A link pearl is basically like a long-distance walkie-talkie. It basically goes in your ear, so you'll see your character touch your ear on occasion, and you're basically hearing other people message you. Eorzea is changing, Lendriel, and you have the power to help shape it anew. None can say what the morrow will bring, but so long as we believe in ourselves, there is naught we cannot achieve. Now it is time you made ready for your journey. Before you depart, be sure to speak to Tataru. She will appraise you of where and when the remembrance services are due to take place. Yeah, I'll probably go with Flames because I started in Ul'dah. Also, the most recent Endwalker trailer, no spoilers, but has flashbacks of all your journeys thus far before Endwalker, and it shows you starting in Ul'dah. So I think now the canonical answer for where this Warrior of Light starts is Ul'dah, as far as I'm concerned. Which, go me, because that is where I started. And now we must speak to Tataru. Tataru. I'm sorry about all the attention you're getting, Lendriel. I might have sung your praises a little too loudly, and often, to a few too many people. Next time I'll be sure to hold my tongue, literally if necessary. Anyway, I expect you want to know where and when the Remembrance services are taking place. If all goes to plan, Gridania's Grand Company, the Order of the Twin Adders, will hold the first of the 3 services, and Elder Seedseer Kani Senna will deliver her address in the Miketo Amphitheater. I should probably mention at this point that due to the organizational challenges involved in assembling... Next you'll need to go to Ul'dah. Next you'll need to go to Ul'dah, where the Flame General Rabban al-Din will be addressing the masses at the Royal Promenade. Oh, and it's rumored that there's to be a special guest. How exciting. Last but not least, you'll make your way to the stateroom in Limsa Laminsa, where Maelstrom Chief Admiral Merwa Bluefisfin will be giving her address. The room is accessible via the Admiral's lift. Identify yourself to the sentry at Xanthal, and he'll admit you. Got all that? Well, off you go then. I hope you find the Remembrance services suitably educational. I suggest visiting the city-states in my prescribed order, though with your record of impeccable timing and luck, the schedule may well change in favor of your preferred travel plans. Farewell. Okay, so off to Gridania. Yeah, Ul'dah is Flames is probably best for story flow as well. That's one of the things that's interesting about giving you the choice is like, yeah, I'm glad they give you the choice, but at the same time, it like, why wouldn't I pick the one for the city state I started out in? Especially when you're starting off, you don't know more and you don't know better. I currently am part of the Flames, but that's because for a while Flames just were demolishing PvP so often that when I was playing PvP, it was just kind of necessary. And now it's mostly just because returning to Limsa is the easiest for doing doing for like market board and some of the stuff that I do. Ul'dah will always be home though.
I lost my son to the Calamity.
The 3 Seedseers are all together.
Some say you couldn't take a step without stumbling over a body. Our forebears were once strangers in the Twelveswood. Fearful of the Green Wrath, they hid themselves in the dark recesses of the earth. Yet they dreamed of basking in the dappled sunlight of the forest.
She's talking about the Gelmorans.
Through great effort, they proved their worth to the elementals, and were granted a place beneath the boughs. So it was that Gridania was born, some 5 centuries ago. Working hand in hand, the Hure and the Elysian settlers sowed the seeds of our civilization, and soon they were joined by folk of all races.
And those Gelmorans were originally
so
the
nourished
Ambiporans.
by the waters of unity, and blessed by the light of the matron, Gridania flourished into the great nation it is today.
The matron being Nafka. One
Do
of
you
the
see
12.
the Gridanian standard? There, hanging behind the Elder Seedseer. The entwined serpents represent the unity between Hure and Elysian. An elegant symbol, do you not agree?
In accordance with the will of the elementals, we have embraced a life of peace. Alas, our neighbors have not always sought the same for themselves.
That's a little...
Nor for us.
That... Gridania's not always
Though
been...
we Gridanians have no love for war, we have still less for those who would threaten our way of life. Ever have we fought to protect the sanctity of the Twelveswood. When the Garlean Empire brought its war of conquest to Eorzea, we rallied under the noble standard of the Twin Adder that we might push back the encroaching darkness. And it was we who prepared the ground for the reformation of the Eorzean Alliance, that all the peoples of this realm might stand united against the common threat. "5 years ago, the Alliance met the armies of the Empire upon the fields of Cartano. It would prove the bloodiest battle in recent memory. Countless Gridanian lives were lost. As Supreme Commander of the Order of the Twin Adder, ever shall I bear the weight of our people's sacrifice. Alas, their loss was not the only tragedy to befall us that day, for soon came the Calamity. The scars borne by our forest are a constant reminder of its violence. Our lives have been irrevocably changed, each waking hour a struggle to survive. Driven to desperation, some among us have strayed from the path of righteousness, resorting to banditry, poaching, and other unconscionable deeds.
Especially the Duskwhite and
To compound our woes, the Ixal have returned in force, emboldened by our suffering. They test our defenses nigh without cease, and prey upon the vulnerable. So beleaguered from within and without, it is of little wonder that our unity now falters. Dark times are upon us.
Time was a man could walk the highways without fear.
On this day, 5 years ago, countless Eorzeans laid down their lives that we might behold another dawn. Please join with me in honoring their memory.
Oh, hey! She's from the Archer Guild questline, the Keeper of the
And
Moon.
how do you propose to honor the memory of those you cannot remember, pray tell?
Ali say always with her sass.
The destruction wrought by the Calamity was indiscriminate. It dealt death to Eorzean and Garlean alike. Yet while we have labored to rebuild our homes, to rebuild our lives, the Empire has set about raising steel fortresses here in the Twelveswood. Let none be mistaken. The Garleans remain the greatest threat to our survival. If we are to stand against them, we must remember what it is to be united. Our many troubles blind us to the woes of our fellow man. Thence is harmony lost. Yet harmony is the founding principle of Gridania. We are gathered here to honor the fallen. Let them be honored not only in word and thought, but through concerted action. I bid you join hands with me once more beneath the Twin Adder standard. And together, let us heal the forest's wounds, that our progeny might live in harmony beneath these ancient boughs. For serenity, purity, and sanctity. We must think of the children.
They've just put the Archer Guild's character in like both the back on the right side and the front on the left side. Look, I love Connie Senna, and I appreciate a lot of what she's saying, but also knowing the lore pretty deeply, some of what she's saying is a little sanctimonious and or not quite hypocritical, but it's a little bit actually denying the agency of other groups that aren't necessarily as hostile as she's making them out to be and are hostile because of the legacy of her people.
If you'll permit me, Alfie no. And my sister, Alize, at your service.
It's technically the first time you meet them, because
I saw at a glance that you were a fellow traveler. You might call us students of history, sampling the realm's remembrances in pursuit of enlightenment.
I hate how they do this in ARR worlds and it'll cut out. I mean, I think that it happens in Heavensward too, and on, but just... The Gridanians are unfortunate enough to have contended with two beast tribes. The Sylph... Oh. The Sylph and the Ixal. The Ixal are unquestionably more troublesome, being of naturally warlike disposition, and want to summon their bloodthirsty primal Garuda. The Sylphs, by contrast, are peaceful in nature, being mischievous rather than malevolent, and have long been on friendly terms with Gridanians, until recently at least. Alas, they have grown aloof, a change observed at roughly the time they summoned the primal Ramun. The Gridanians have no love for war. They consider open conflict a last resort. Though they clash with the Ixal ever more regularly, you may be assured that they do so in self-defense. As for the Sylphs, they are as yet bound by peace treaty, though one wonders how long it will be before it is broken. The Twelveswood was grievously wounded during the Calamity, leaving Gridania vulnerable to attack. The people are hopeful that in restoring the wood, and thereby the power of the elementals, will put an end to their woes. Yet how long will that take? Centuries, I'd wager. Meanwhile, the Ixal will continue their incursion, spurned on by Garuda and her insatiable appetite for destruction. Whether the Gridanians like it or not, sooner or later it will come to an all-out war, and when it does, the Order of the Twin Adder will need all the help they can muster. How valuable might the aid of a capable adventurer prove to them? Okay, I spilled my drink. I'm gonna go get a thing real quick. Catastrophic failure. Okay, we're good. Oh, no, I got it on. Shit. One of those frickin' days, I will tell you. I will tell you. The first time you talk to them. Yes, that was what I was going to comment on, but he was still talking. Because you see them when you literally when you boot up, regardless of where you start. It's just interesting that, like, they bother to have them in the background in multiple cutscenes, like when you're coming to Ul'dah, or in the, oh, I'm forgetting its name, but the Adventure Guild in Ul'dah. The bar there has an actual name. I do not recall it off the top of my head. Okay, we are all clean. Like, I don't mean to call Kaniseta specifically, like, sanctimonious in this case, but the Ixali are kind of hostile also because of the actions of the elementals and Gridania and Galbora, not just because the Ixals are assholes or something. Okay, on to Ul'dah. Now, they absolutely have the right to defend themselves and should be, so like in modern times I understand, but just like kind of couching into terms as if it's, oh, it's because the Ixals are just ferocious, terrible creatures is... It is interesting the way that they know, like, the Sylphs are not attacking because of a peace treaty. It's like, yeah, but also most of the reason that, okay, not the touched ones, but like a lot of the Sylphs aren't attacking is also just because of, they're not, the Sylphs tend towards more being just like, we're gonna work with people and we'll just do whatever, it's fine. They're very, not even peace-loving, they're just kind of like, very neutral by nature while also being mischievous. Except for the touched ones. Raoban, Salt and Sworn. Yeah! My people!
As well.
Hark, you souls of flame, drawn to the bosom of the desert, where the fire burns brightest and shall rage forevermore.
Give me the Manchester accent back, please.
Reborn!
I beg of you.
Where since antiquity, under the sage and judicious rule of the Ul dynasty, we have wrought sand into gold.
Okay, but like, also the Ul dynasty got broken halfway through by the Thorn dynasty, and so this is actually technically the second Ul dynasty. So not really since antiquity. You've only been around this dynasty's only been around a couple hundred years, really. I mean, I guess it was technically unbroken because the line was not broken. Lore replay. It's the nuances.
Where by the grace and glory of Nalthal have our brave sons and daughters flourished and prospered. I speak of Ul'dah!
Nalthal, one of the 12. Raban's...
There, at the Flame General's back flies the Grand Company's standard. Note the sigil. The golden scales of order balance the jewel of prosperity with the flame of might.
Great and many are the gifts our nation has given the realm. In Eorzea's darkest hour, on the killing fields of Cartano, none spent more in blood and gold than we. Thus was the 7th Imperial Legion laid low.
Led by Dale Van Darnus. Nail Van Darnus.
So that's how it happened. How soon history forgets.
Yet many left our gates, never to return.
What Alphinaud's referring to is Louisoix's sacrifice in order to stop the fall of Thalamud. Although, I guess not so much stop.
Let us pray for our absent brothers and sisters, that they might know happiness in the great beyond, as Thal's honored guests.
Very much so. I wonder if that standard will ever
If the fates
be
were
metaphorically
fair,
important.
the price we paid that day would have bought us victory. Alas, they are not. And now, but 5 years into this 7th Umbral era, the spirit of sacrifice which granted us our strength is all but dead. Look around you. What do you see? A people divided, downtrodden and enthralled. Where are the merciful alms of the rich? Where is the just steel of the righteous? I ask you, is this the great nation our brothers and sisters gave their lives to save? You who call this living, dishonor the name of the immortal flames. It is but a slow death. Our enemies surround us. The savage hordes of the Amalja wait beside our roads, strangling the lifelines of trade. Meanwhile, the Garleans make mock of our borders and despoil our land of its natural wealth. We stand on a precipice, yet we do not act. Whether trader or soldier, monetarist or royalist, all must recognize that a divided Ul'dah stands to fall. Victory and fortune walk hand in hand. Ye who seek glory and wealth, look not to what little you can snatch from your neighbor, but to the boundless wealth of the world beyond. Now is the time to unite. Now is the time to ride forth. In the name of the Sultana, I beseech you. Line not your own coffers, but those of the immortal flames. Seek not to prosper from Ul'dah, but to restore her to prosperity. As the realm prospers, so shall Ul'dah. As Ul'dah prospers, so shall her people. Ya for Ul'dah!
Raban's
Together
dope!
we are one.
Your grace.
Reborn? People of Ul'dah, I, Nanimo, 17th in the line of Ul, address you. Much has been made of the wealth of Ul'dah. Yet those who measure that wealth in coins and carats are gravely deceived. For the true wealth of Uldar lies in the health, happiness, and hopes of her people.
Parrot Sultana.
Beloved subjects, I bid you raise aloft the torch of Uldar, that her flames might serve as a beacon for all Eorzea to see.
Long live Nanamo!
Glory to the Sultana!
For victory and fortune, stride fearless into the inferno, for we are, by fire, reborn! Forsooth!
The time is now!
Fancy meeting you again.
Oh my god, ARR Alphino is such a Redditor and his voice actor does not help. The Uldars have long history of conflict with the Amalja, the beast tribe that worship the primal Ifrit. Judging by your look of distaste, I take it you have encountered them. The Uldans do not shy from confrontation. If aught threatens their precious prosperity, they will seek to crush it. So have they dealt with Ifrit thus far, smothering his flames each time he is stoked to life. Yes, he is but one of several problems. Though they have been quiet these past 5 years, the Garleans have not gone away. Meanwhile, refugees continue to arrive in droves, and Ul'dah has no clear policy of how to deal with them. After all, not even the Sultanate's coffers are bottomless, and even assuming they had the coin, resources will ever be finite. Which brings me back to the subject of Ifrit. It has been observed that the Amalja are summoning him with ever-increasing frequency. Every time they do so, the Uldans send their forces to smite the Primal, and though they invariably succeed, each victory is bought with blood. It is a war of attrition which they cannot well sustain. Small wonder then the Immortal Flames are eager to recruit more members. At such a desperate hour, an adventurer of your experience would be most welcome addition to their ranks. For their sake, I hope the Flame General's words struck a chord with you. Let Alice be a character. Please. Okay, and on to Limsa and Morlib. Okay, just return. Ah, Limsa, a wretched hive of scum and villainy. Yeah, we'll call. Hey, good job. Yeah, I just finished, basically finishing everything on my to-do list. Except for one thing, I have to clear a certain trial in Shadowbringers to get armor that I need for my glamour for going into Endwalker with Paladin. Here to attend the Remembrance service? Be quick, the Admiral is due to give her address at any moment. One of the things I finished was this. Glorious. How's everybody's Saturday going, by the way?
The Garleans are another matter altogether.
So much for our alliance.
It's sunk beyond the seabed.
Brothers and sisters of the sea, hearken unto me. Look upon this, our mighty crimson standard, and tell me your hearts do not swell with pride.
Oh, Issa, yeah, I'm sorry about that. I totally... Ugh.
700 summers have come and gone since our forefathers first ran aground in this fertile bay. In that time, guided by the Mother of Oceans, Limsa Lominsa has grown from humble fishing village to uncontested ruler of the 5 seas and beyond.
I was just mentioning this to Niniri, but it's really interesting that all 3
Did you look as the Admiral bid you? It is a rather stirring standard, I must say.
All 3 city-states are led. All 3 starting city-states are led by women.
The Crimson Field is meant to signify the blood of fallen crewmates, while the Black Longship represents a pirate vessel.
When the Gallian Empire marched upon Eorzea, we assembled beneath the Maelstrom standard, and our Grand Company was reborn. All answered the call, from the Knights of the Barracuda to Hilthier's bloody executioners. And together, we met our would-be conquerors upon the field of Cartano.
I need to make a Grand Companies video.
That day, the world bore witness to the united strength of Limsa Lominsa. I swear to you, no army ever fought harder or with more courage. Yet many of ours did not survive. Join me now in remembering those who fought in the name of freedom and fell. May their souls be returned to the sea.
Freedom. Yes, they have always been rather fond of their freedom.
Fuck off, Alphino!
Much as the beast tribes have. Small wonder. Beneath the surface, one would struggle to tell them apart.
It has been 5
one of my favorite characters, but fuck off!
Calamity struck. 5 long years of tireless rebuilding. Yet still the wounds of the Calamity fester and weep. But when I stand atop the mizzenmast and gaze out upon our battered and broken vessel, I see an undying spirit. Did we not build all this from the wreck of the Galadian all those centuries ago? Shall we not do so again?
We will find a way.
Yet there are those who would see this ship of ours sink beneath the waves of the restless Rotano. The Sahagin creep ashore seeking blood for their accursed god.
Those fishback
The Sahagin
bastards.
have risen?
While the mines of Ogomero spew forth kobolds who push ever south, despoiling our lands as they go. These savage beast tribes will be the first waves to crash against our creaking hull. And behind them swells the grim tide of the Gallian Empire. Even now, the Curs fly their flags within our borders. Doubt not, but that they will be upon us ere long. We are well nigh surrounded. Yet there are those among us who would rather turn their swords against their crewmates than our cannons against our foes. How can we hope to repel our many enemies when mutiny breeds below deck?
Can you notice the shipping metaphors?
One bearing that will bring us victory over the beast hordes and the Empire both, and see this ship safe to port. We must mend the rift the Calamity has reopened twixt pirate and maelstrom, and stand fast with our adventurer brothers against the coming tempest. Mark ye well, a crew without unity is no crew at all. 'Tis but a mass of drowned men. To me, then, brothers and sisters of the sea, gather beneath the undying crimson standard and pledge me your strength, your skill, your wisdom. And with the guidance of the navigator, this great vessel of ours shall ride the waves till sea swallows all.
Long live the Admiral!
Admiral Melvin!
Gather the lads!
Oh, where's me cutlass?
I'll follow ye to the 7 hells, Admiral.
Yes, I imagine her writing this speech beforehand, like, ah, yes, good, good, more ship metaphors. Yes, I'm so clever.
Fancy meeting you again.
Oh, fuck off. Okay, here's the thing that's sad, is... it's not that I don't... like, yes, Alfino and ARR is also written that way, written kind of a little bit very nakedy and all that, but oh boy, does the voice actor for him not help at all, and exacerbate quite a bit. Yeah. He's one of my favorite characters, but he has to go way to go. As the Admiral mentioned in her address, Limsa Laminsa is plagued by 2 beast tribes, the Kobolds and Sahagin. The first are the fish-like Sahagin, worshippers of the primal Leviathan. The second are the Kobolds, who will dwell beneath the earth and take the primal Titan for their god. Actually, I just realized, I imagine instead of Merlwib writing that, it's Enzar, her, like, right-hand man, writing the thing, and just, like, over in the corner, like, yeah, yes, Admiral, more ship jokes. Got it. As if the Beast Tribe's presence weren't troublesome enough, the Garleans have chosen to erect a fortress right in the Laminson's backyard. And that is to say, not of the internal strife as a nation of pirates. There is no end to the bloody feuds between the various factions. And while they fight amongst themselves, the Garlean whet their blades and watch. If the Laminsons are to have any hope of withstanding the Empire, they must first resolve their own affairs. Differences must be set aside, and the primal threat dealt with once and for all. To this end, I expect they will take decisive action against the Beast Tribes. Mark my words, the Maelstrom standard will be drenched a deeper shade of crimson ere long. That a capable adventurer like you would be a valuable addition to their crew is beyond question. Like, the thing that's weird is that you ultimately are going to help all 3 of the city-states anyways, and so I appreciate the choice, but the framework for it is also kind of odd because you end up occupying that role for all of them regardless. I mean, you already have for Ul'dah. Landriel, this is Menphilia. You are well, I hope? Would I be correct in thinking that the final remembrance service has now concluded? A moment ago, you say? What a coincidence! Jesting aside, I trust you remember our guests from the Grand Company? Well, delighted though we are to have them here at the Waking Sands, it would not do to keep them in suspense any longer than necessary. In short, hurry back, please. Around Reborn, back to the Waking Sands. Oh. Yeah, it is really interesting to note that all 3 of the city-states are led by women. Merlwib, Nanamo, and... My brain broke for a second there. Kanisena. Like, yes, Raban is a big figure and one of the leading members of the Syndicate, but, like, the actual true ruler of Ul'dah is Nanamo. That only ends up getting broken by Amerik. And the Holy See of Ishgard, but well, things later I won't touch on too much. But also, giant robot. The true ruler is the potato parrot. That, I only don't know what to say because you're right. That is what I said. If you put what I said through a meme translator as opposed to through a lore translator, you would get the true ruler is a potato parrot. Okay, Menphilia. What do you have to tell me in a monotone? Welcome back, Landriel. Were the Grand Company leader's words as illuminating as you had hoped? Aye, each nation is beset with problems. I trust you see now why your services are in such demand. Would that there more for you, Landriel. But you must be tired from your journey. Why don't you rest a while and take a moment to reflect on your decision? Once your mind is made up, pray give the Grand Company officers your answer.
The gods only know what grand company our adventurer friend will keep. The wheels of change are in motion regardless.
Brother, are you certain this course is best?
Whatever do you mean, dear sister?
The so-called remembrance ceremonies were little more than standard waving rallies. As though the Calamity and Seventh Umbral era warranted scarcely a mention.
I will say to their credit, as little as Alice gets to do in ARR and Heaven's Word, it is actually nice to see that her characterization that they establish here is the characterization she arrives with when she becomes more forefront in the story. And it's really cool. They don't like drastically shift her straight away.
Well, of course they were standard waving rallies. Since you are so observant, mayhap you noticed what mention was made of the Warriors of Light? None. I suppose they must have forgotten the heroes who spared Eorzea a fate worse than the Calamity?
God.
No, dear Alize, they haven't forgotten these details. They have elected to omit them.
Just turn down the snootiness.
Deep are the wounds the Calamity inflicted upon Eorzea. So deep, in fact, that the realm still bleeds. Needless to say, the beast tribes and their primals do little to alleviate the pain. So, the task of salving Eorzea's wounds falls to the scions of the Seventh Dawn, with a little help from our friends, the Grand Companies. Remembrance will yield no remedy. If our world is to heal, we must put the horrors of the Calamity behind us.
For all of this, remember that Alphino is the one that believes in Eorzea and wants to help it of all the people in Charlane, compared to anyone on the forum. So when we go to Charlane and Endwalker, expect this, but potentially worse, because you have this plus isolationism as an underlying temperament. It's worth remembering. It's not just that he's young and intelligent and he knows it, it's also the people he grew up with. The directing must just not have been good or something because there aren't bad voice actors, right? Yeah, I think part of it is that a lot of the background for these characters are from games and stuff that are much less naturalistic. And on top of that, I think the lack of direction. I will note that, like, for instance, for Menphilia, though, she had the voice actress for her had done almost no voice acting before and no voice acting since. Like, she had done a couple of things that were like commercials and stuff, but just like nothing. So I think it was very much a stopgap. We need someone to record this dialogue. We need someone to do these recordings. We can't take the time to get exactly who we want. We have to go with I don't remember which guild it was, but they had to basically go with one of the pre-existing recording houses, which per their rules, you have to use only their members if you use one of their members. So they had to do that. And then afterwards, starting with Heaven's Word, they were like, okay, we want to get who we want. So they just would hire, British actors and basically hire them each individually rather than having to hire them all under one banner or one working house.
Our grandfather would never entrust the fate of the realm to despots who rewrite history to their convenience. There must be another way to cure what ails this world, and I mean to find it.
You are most welcome to try. Our paths may differ, but our destination is the same. In time, I dare say we will see eye to eye.
I should hope so.
My lady!
We are to escort you!
Hope does not come into it. We share the burden of this fate, dear sister, and will prevail together or not at all. The salve will serve not only to close up our present wounds, but prevent old ones from opening anew.
Boy, would I give a lot to have a Realm Reborn re-record. And I used to think like, oh god, I don't know how they can do that without, getting around contracts and stuff, but then I realized it'd be easy. What they could do is they could record with all the current voice actors and just make it a toggle. So you could go back to the original English recordings and you're not removing them from the game, but you can just toggle between the two if you want to. I bet that would help get around the any sort of contract limitations or difficulties. I don't know for sure that that's true, but it is one way to try and solve that problem. Welcome back, adventurer. I take it General Raubon's words kindled a fire within you? Indeed they did. Excellent. I feared the incident with the traitor may have soured your opinion of us. It gladdens me to see that that isn't the case. Before we can count on you as one of our own, you must be formally inducted into our ranks. Please proceed to the Hall of Flames and identify yourself to the personal officer. I will notify him of your coming. With your strength joined to ours, we shall surely prevail over our enemies, be they beastmen or Imperials. To Vespa Bay. It's a lot of snake named things. Adders, Vesper. Actually, am I going crazy? No, okay, Vesper is... Wait, evening. I have no idea why I thought Vesper was a form of snake. That's weird of me. However, it does mean evening in classical Latin, so evening bay. But yeah, a lot of adder. Like Adder's Gall for Sage. Oh, I'm so fucking excited for Endwalker! If anybody watches this retroactively after Endwalker is coming out, I'm sure I've had feelings and that these statements are in some way going to be comical or something. Because, oh boy, Endwalker's going to be a journey. The ball python? I'm thinking of the ball python. Why would I think of the ball python if I was thinking of Vesper? Is there a type of ball python named such, or? Oh, speaking of little stories in a big world, the 80 Sins of Sasimo, or more importantly, which they should be called the 80 Steps of Sasimo. There is a lovely and tragic story around these stairs, and I think it's definitely something I'll make a video about sometime. 4 sets of 20 steps each. A Vesper ball python. Interesting. That must be what I'm thinking of. I wonder why I'm thinking of it. I wonder if I looked up ball python because of Bloodborne, and that's why it was on my mind. Thank you for the help. I appreciate it and not feeling crazy. What brings you to the Hall of Flames this morning, adventurer? My name is Landriel Shigi. I'm here to list if you'll have me. Ah, I thought as much. You are just our man, as our man at the Waking Sands described. It is an honor to meet you, sir. Now, in order to formalize your... Sir! Speak, Private. Imperial, sir. They fired on Highwind Skyways airship. Oh! That's where this comes in. Okay. Scouts say she's coming down to the west near Horizon's Edge. Bloody hells, of all the times for this to happen. Landriel, there's no time for formalities. The Immortal Flames need your help now. We're in the midst of a large-scale operation against the Amalja. We have no one to spare in Western Thanalan. We must get to the ship before the Garleans do. If there are any survivors, see that they do not come to further harm. Now go. If you've watched my airship video, you know that the Highwind Skyways is the preeminent, and if not singular, creators of Airship for Eorzea. And they have a very storied and interesting history and legacy. Now, they also worked with Sid Garland in order to make the Bronco class airship, which is the most common type of airship in the realm. However, especially during 1.0 and even still to an extent, the Garleans would shoot all airships out of the sky, so they weren't a very common sight for a long period of time. However, they've started to become more and more of a sight, but like seen here, this one just got shot down at random, so people are still wary. And this is where we meet our Star Wars friends, if you know what I mean. Just take a second to look at the Bronco. So the fundamental underlying principle behind how these work, right, is you've got a giant gas-filled balloon here, and it's full of cerulean gas, which is lighter than air, which allows the ship to like go up. And then you also have these fins, which have basically ethereally charged membranes with wind aspected crystals, which allow them to both hover a little bit and also propel forwards. And then you have what basically under the deck here, you have a Cerulean Engine that both controls and propels these guys and allows you to choose when to fuel gas into the balloon itself. Because this goes into here and then goes down into here. So there's both an engine down here and basically a storage for cerulean. So that way you can change your ballast as needed. And that's the underlying principle of airships. There are different ones. There are ones that are basically, instead of a gas-filled balloon here, they have just propellers. Basically giant, like, rotating propellers that are the same principle as these guys. But for Eorzea specifically, this is the most common type of airship you'll see anywhere. And its principle especially. An adventurer, what are you doing here? No, wait, let's find some cover first. How are you out of breath? You guys ran like maybe 50 yards? The Immortal Flame sent you? How do I know you're not an Imperial spy? You don't even have a uniform. I should probably do a different voice. Keys of Rogadin. Are you alright, sir? Our scouts reported an attack on your craft. We've come to rescue you. Lendriel Shigi? Yes, glad to have you with us. I've not seen a craft of this design before. The trader Garland has been busy. The secrets of Magitech are ours by right. They are not to be squandered upon the savages of this land. There's the word savages. It's important to note that repeatedly Garleans will treat and refer to anyone outside of Garlon, and specifically Eorzeans, as savages. Almost kind of similar to how a lot of Eorzeans treat the beast tribes. The thing that is made very implicit throughout the story. Oh, buddy. We're taking the craft back to the fortress. Dismantle it if you must, and bring the engineer. Someone must pay for Garland's crimes. They mean to take the ship back to Castra Meridianum, along with your friend. Wedge, you have to help him. The fool of a Lalafell was hiding inside the tiny Bronco. Nice looking ship, though not the best place to have taken shelter, I agree. It's the first airship we've built since the Calamity. The first since Master Garland, well, since he went missing. After years of work, she was finally ready for her first test flight, and she was soaring. She really was, till those bastards blasted her out of the sky. We attack on my command. Kill them quickly and save the Lalafell if possible. Is that clear, Lendriel? I'm a captain. I don't want to hear it. Show them what becomes of those who play with fire. Charge! We're under attack. To arms! Fun fact about that glowing shield, there's actually a lantern inside, and you can shut the vents so that it can either glow or not glow, depending on what you need. I'm level 24, and I shouldn't even count for those. I have 1, 2... I have 3 abilities at 24. They gotta fix the early game. Okay, I guess I technically have Tomahawk. Did I even have an OGTV? I guess I have Berserk, so I guess it is technically an OGTV. And there's the magic deck. Thrilling. That was a bird. Running away. Okay. Forget to use your range attacks when you can't hit them close. Especially in Endwalker, because it no longer is going to break your combo if you're a tank. You use your range attack. Might only be 1 DPS, but it still counts. Biggs! Biggs and Wedge, characters from Star Wars. Pilots, specifically. And they're reoccurring names used for engineers in... Well, I guess not just engineers, but characters in Final Fantasy. Wedge, you shouldn't have stayed with the ship. That was a close one. Too damn close. So how's she's looking anyway? The auxiliary propeller is a dead loss, but I think we can bring enough thrust from the main propeller to get us airborne. A few minor modifications and we should be able to fly the tiny Bronco home. The Imperials will come looking for their scouts, but we can defend this position until the engineers leave. You should go, Lendriel. You still have unfinished business to attend to at the Hall of Flames. You're not quite one of us yet, though anyone would see you in action today would be forgiven for thinking otherwise. I just wanted to say sorry, you know, for calling you an Imperial spy and all. Got that one wrong, didn't I? Seriously though, if it hadn't been for you, the Immortal Flames and the Immortal Flame lads there, we would have been chained up in a dungeon by now. I'm in your debt, friend. We both are. Wedge. Thank you. We're very grateful. Back to the steps of Nald. And just for anyone who's unaware, regardless of which Grand Company you pick, you basically get that same kind of mission. You meet Biggs and Wedge. I actually don't know where they crash in Limsa. I've only ever seen it in Ul'dah and Gridani. I would assume it's in Central Thanalan. Bum, bum. Shot a little. Welcome back, Lendriel. Word of your deed in the field has reached me not long ago. Exemplary service. Rest assured that the Garland Ironworks engineers are fine. They were able to get their vessel back in the air before Imperial reinforcements arrived. Your willingness to assist us on such short notice is to be commended. Clearly, your reputation is well deserved. Now then, I believe we have some unfinished business. Shall we continue from where we left off and induct you into the Immortal Flames? Are you ready, Lendriel? Then let us begin. Starts chanting. Lendriel Shiga, you stand poised to enter a sacred trust. The flames of Ul'dah burn bright, casting light where there is dark, and purging evil wheresoever it lurks. We are ever ready to meet the nation's enemies in battle, be they beastmen, Garleans, or worse. And at a word from the Flame General Raban Aldine, we would gladly lay down our lives to maintain the peace and prosperity of Ul'dah. To join our ranks, you must forsake all other nations. Only then may you commit yourself to the fire and be reborn in immortal flame. It's also weird they have you pick this because, like, there's so much of a point about uniting and about not being singular. It's just a weird tonality for where the story goes. Burn as one with us, Lendriel, and together we shall chase the darkness from Ul'dah. Will you swear an oath to mark this occasion? Okay, I'm curious what happens if I say nothing. I take it you'd rather be judged by your deeds. I respect that. We want a man of action, not words. Oh, that's pretty funny. Very well. Your resolve is plain, Lendriel. I hereby confer upon you the rank of Flame Private 3rd Class. Welcome to the Immortal Flames. May you fight to the last coin. May you fight to the last coin and country. May you fight for... That was weird. May you fight to the last for coin and country. Can you hear me, Lendriel? This is Menphilia. An officer of the Immortal Flames contacted me with news of your enlistment. My congratulations, Private Shige. I have no doubt that you are eager to make the acquaintance of your new comrades, but I would ask that you pay a visit to your old ones first. Remember, though you are now a Flame of Ul'dah, you are no less a Scion. Pray return to the Waking Sands at your earliest convenience. There are some friends here who I'm very much like you to meet. We shall be waiting. It seems your presence is required elsewhere. But before you leave, perhaps you could find a moment to speak with Commander Swift. He is not one to see new recruits go into the field unprepared. I already have. Oh, interesting. That actually makes you change your... Well, I guess I'm gonna be part of the Flames. Oh, no. No, okay, it was just stylistic? Because... Interesting. That was odd. Pray return to the Waking Sands! Ba-ba-ba-da-da. Scooby-doo-doo, Scoo-boo. Hey, a Goo-boo minion! It always is the right tone for the place. Like, as much as the music in later stuff is much more... I love it a lot more in terms of like, oh yeah, I'm going to listen to that bop. The tonality of the music for A Realm Reborn is always spot on. Everything to say, Tataru? Some people let fame swell their heads, but I believe that yours will remain in proportion and firmly attached to your body. Thanks, Tataru. Thank you. Following the Calamity, each nation's armed forces underwent large-scale restructuring centered upon its grand company. Let me see if I have this right. You're an adventurer who's a scion and a storm? Golly, how do you keep track of everything? You must be fun pairing up with lots of different people, though. Me, I'm always with Papa Limo. Come to think of it, why am I always with Papa Limo? Welcome back, Landrio. Lady Minfilia waits you within. Welcome. Welcome back. It seems you've wasted no time putting your skills to work. How do I know? Why, the recruitment officer called to regale me with the tale of your heroics. The pride in his voice was palpable. We Scions are truly fortunate to have you with us, Landrio. Now, when we last spoke, I said that I wanted you to meet some of friends. Did I not? Well, I neglected to mention that you have already met. Tataru, please show them in. This way, sirs. Hey, Biggs and Wedge. Thanks again for getting us out of that mess. We owe you our lives. But I don't think we've properly introduced ourselves. I'm Biggs. And I'm... God's man, spit it out, will ya? Wedge, at your service. I'm pleased to say that Biggs and Wedge will be staying with us for a time. Magitech-driven contraptions such as airships grow ever more vital to the city-states of Eorzea. As a neutral party, it was judged that we Scions should serve as the keepers of this technology. Of course, for this we needed the knowledge of experts, and so we requested the assistance of Garland Ironworks, who very kindly sent us 2 of their finest engineers. Our happy family continues to grow. On behalf of the Scions, I bid you welcome to the Waking Sands. Like every soul here, I love Eorzea, and I count myself blessed to have been given this chance to stand with you all and fight for the future of our realm. Never have I known such fulfillment, such happiness. You've had a rough go of it. Fun fact, her job, like, every character has a job that is their, like Y'shtola will have, like, currently, I think, would either be Conjurer or Thaumaturge. Every character has, or Yida is a pugilist, right? For Minfilia, it's minor. Yes. And that's also because of her backstory, because she worked in some mines for a while.
Now, having set aside the formalities...
Pickaxe-wielding motherfucker.
We have a favor to ask of you. Urianger, have the documents arrived from the students of Baldessian?
Speak in cursive.
Aye, my lady. They arrived but recently.
We have conducted a study at the behest of the Order of the Twin Adder. Papa Limo, Ida, a synopsis if you would.
Our task was to survey the behavior of the Sylphs, a beast tribe indigenous to the Twelveswood.
Oh, how to describe them. They look like gisselcreens, floating ones, that worship the primal Ramu.
Ahem. Though technically a beast tribe, Sylphs are blessed with a comparatively personable demeanor, conducive to peaceful communication.
Yet another example of, okay, so what does it be? Are you saying that they're not a beast, partially not a beast tribe because they're peaceable? How is that a defining characteristic? Like, aren't multiple parts of the spoken races all, well, not spoken, but the like known the 5 races of Eorzea in conflict with each other? It all breaks down. It all breaks down.
Offering us an invaluable opportunity to learn what the beast tribes know of the primals.
While Ramu's existence is well documented, the Sylphs do not, or perhaps cannot, summon the primal any longer, insofar as can be ascertained, until such time as we know. It would be unwise to assume that the threat posed by the primal has passed.
Which leaves Gridania with the added worry of not knowing what they should be worrying about.
In that regard, they are hardly alone. What we can say with absolute certainty is that Gridania has its hands full fending off Garuda, who, I need hardly remind you, is among the most savage and terrible of all known primals.
In short, it is essential that we approach the Sylphs in as diplomatic a manner as possible. Words and actions can be misconstrued. The only sure way to communicate our intentions is the echo. Winning the Sylphs' favor may well bring us a step closer to mitigating the threat of the primals. Will you help us?
I'm not sure what she means by communicating.
I am grateful.
Lovely. Well, as much as I'd like to help, I'm afraid I would be of little use to anyone in Gridania. A veritable babe in the woods. Ida and Papalimo, however, should be able to see the forest for the trees. Is that not so, Minfilia?
Indeed. You are willing?
Leave it to me.
Us, Ida, us!
To Gridania! Well, more specifically, to the Black Shroud. Oh no, actually to Gridania. To Gridania! Which is in the Black Shroud. So both were technically correct. I don't know why I'm doing the affect. Oh, I got my swim trunks and my flippy floppies. I was gonna try to do something with about axe, but like an axy waxy. Yeah, it'll work. We know far too little of the Sylphs to lay any worthwhile plans. We must call upon the Scions once more if we are to... beg your pardon. 'Tis a terrible habit of mine to think aloud. But tell me, what brings you to the Adder's Nest? I'm here to help. Hail, adventurer. I bid you welcome to the Adder's Nest. Do you seek to entwine your destiny with the Twin Adderns? Nope. Good day, Commander. Sorry to disappoint you, but other business brings us here today. Yida, Papalimo, always a pleasure to see the two of you. My men tell me your quest in the name of the Scions of late. Quite so, Commander. A little bird told us that the Twin Adders was in need of our adventuring prowess. Aye, your little bird sings true. No doubt you've heard that we're investigating the Sylphs, that curious beast tribe that calls the depths of the Twelveswood home. The Sylphs are, for the most part, a peaceable bunch, much to the delight of the Elder Seedseer, who has no desire to see her people embroiled in yet another fruitless war. The twin adder is of the same mind, and 'tis precisely for this reason that the sylph's relation to the primal Ramu has raised a flag of warning amongst our ranks. Friendly as they may appear, beastmen will be beastmen. Should there be even a sliver of a chance that the summoning of a primal might disturb the balance between Gridania and the Sylphic tribe, it is a possibility we cannot ignore. Better to save safe than sorry, indeed. Should we strike at Ramu or leave the sylphs to their own ways? That is the question, yet I find myself lacking ample knowledge to arrive at an answer. Opinions are bound within Gridania, but to listen only to one's own only one's own is among the greatest mistakes a commander can make. I would hear from the other side, the sylphs themselves, and seek an impartial party to serve as my liaison. That is where you Scions come in. The sylphs of Little Solace remain untempered and have held many productive dialogues with our people. I would hear their candid thoughts on the tempered brethren. That said, I urge you to exercise due caution. Sylphic tradition and etiquette bear little resemblance to our own. It would not do to have any cross-cultural faux pas get in the way of a productive parley. En route to Little Solace, you will come upon the Hawthorne Hut. Our officer stationed there can enlighten you as to how to win the sylph's favor. May your expedition be a worthwhile one. A friendly palaver with the sylphs? This should be pleasant enough. This should be pleasant enough diversion. The Hawthorne Hut, was it? Why, I believe the ferry departing for West Shore Pier should take us straight there. A friendly Pavlar? Indeed, I hope this will be as straightforward as you say, Papalimo. Is it Palaver? No, I'm curious. It is...
Palaver.
Palaver. Old Gridania. It's so funny how much. I mean, it's not. I mean, it is smaller. It's. Gridania is the size of like Limsa, I think. Probably maybe not quite in square mileage, but like compared to the intertwining intricacies of Ul'dah, it just seems so much smaller. Whalers and Water Wheels is such a good song. It's just very happy and hopeful. Also, a bunch of it sounds like parts from the Shire theme. And I don't mean just like kind of. I mean, there are parts that are just straight up part of the Shire theme. Aye, the ferry docked at the base of the hill will carry you across the lake to the East Shroud. Once you're ashore, head due east and you should find the Hawthorne Hut without much trouble. Can you see the East Shore? Not really, no. Unless... no, I don't seem so. Okay, what's a fun mount? What's a fun mount I have? Oh, I know what mount's proper for this area. Flowerhead Gubu. Fun fact, the reason that he's like that he doesn't have the plants on his head and has this laurel is that this Gubu had its plants torn out by like malicious sylphs that were just playing a trick on it. And so kind sylphs brought it in and made this laurel that it wears. And it's very nice and friendly and peaceable. And also when they fly, it's hysterical to me. Look at those noodle arms. Indeed, I am Emelian of the Twin Adder. I understand you're here to learn of the Sylphs, yes? For all the whimsy, they are a wary lot, particularly since the Empire has come to the Shroud. Earn their trust, however, and they are friendly as any folk. They have their quirks, but so do we all, no? Would you know more? You do well to speak with the master of this hut, Rolf. He's forgotten more about the Sylphs than I will ever know. Hey, Rolf. Come to learn a thing or two about the Sylphs, have you? I'll tell you one thing. They're peculiar folk. How peculiar, you ask? Well, just let me tell you. They're... Beg pardon, friend. My memory's just not what it used to be. I've seen much and more in my adventuring days, and it's all a clutter in my noggin now. Though I've shared my stories with those around the hut before, you might have more luck with them. Isabel. The Sylphs? Yes, Father told me his stories plenty of times. What I've always found most captivating is how their concept of etiquette is almost completely alien to our own. You do best not to underestimate them on account of their childlike looks, lest your face end up in a mess of glyphs, squiggles, and chocobo scratches. The quickest way to the Quiver woman's heart might be through her stomach, but don't even think of trying to foist your foodstuffs on a sylph. They sustain themselves simply by bathing in the sun, or so Rolf once told me. Photosynthetic! Though they can get drunk. But not on alcohol. The sylphs? Inveterate tricksters and troublemakers, that's what they are. One day they're drawing mortal faces on our masks. The next they're sending our young sentries falling to the bottom of a ravine. Tell them to stop and they just laugh at you. Rolf claims they harbor no ill will, but I dare say such pranks are no laughing matter. Yeah, that's the big problem, is that there's no distinction really between something that could kill you and something that's playful for them, even though it is none of it's meant cruelly. Oh, of course, hearing your stories, well, my stories, has brought the memories flooding back to me. I feel like dancing. Yes, nothing brings people together quite like a little toe tapping. A sylph told me long ago that dancing is a time-honored greeting among their kind. You do well to remember this. It just may help win the favor of our forest friends. Oh, still here, eh? Great, there's one more thing you should know about the sylphs. They don't take kindly to guests who show up empty-handed. To earn their trust, you do well to bring along, Drat, what was it again? And my wife Rosa and I were just speaking on the matter not days ago. Forgive me, friend. Speak to Rose at the comb, and her memory should prove more reliable than mine. This guy looks like he's like 30 at worst. He's having a bit of a time, my dude. Rosa Hawthorne. A peace offering for the sylph. Were it anyone else, I'd recommend a jar of honey, but I fear that wouldn't get you past their front doorstep, dear. No, their tastes run more to the unusual. Are you perchance familiar with milkroot? Oh, here we go. With milkroot, that's what we call the root of the most fiendish seedkin, the ochu. When chewed, it exudes a cloudly liquid that's said to induce curious visions in the imbiber. You'd not catch me dead trying the stuff, but the sylphs seem to enjoy it to no end. I've not seen an ochu around the comb in quite some time, but I did encounter a suspicious clump of grass the other day. Were you to stimulate it somehow with some of this amber syrup, for example, you might be surprised at what comes out. Good luck. The sylphs getting high and drunk at the same time. Sylphs getting lit. Oh, that is for the auspice stuff. Got him. Ah, you're back. Was my wife able to direct you to a suitable offering? Milkroot. The thick white sap extracted from this Ochu root has the power to grant its users wonderfully terrible visions. It's the spice! Milk root, but of course, those sylphs quaff the cloudy stuff as quick as I do a flagon of mead. The effect's just about the same as well. Any road, a gift of milk root will have the sylphs calling you friend and brother the moment they lay eyes on you. Now let me wrap that up for you. I'm starting to feel a bit woozy. I've taken the liberty of wrapping your milk root well and good. This should keep it nice and fresh, not to mention spare you from that god-awful stench. The sylph love this stuff, but me, I'd rather bury my nose in chocobo dung. I dare say the reek even rivals the breath of the morble that put an end to my adventuring days. But I can tell you that story another time. You've more important matters to attend to today, yes? The sylph are an eccentric bunch, but I've shared their company enough to know that they're kind at heart. They'll not shun one whose intentions are true. May you parley be fruitful, friend, and do stop by on your return. There's a flagon of full flower mead with your name on it if you'd regale me with your adventuring tales. Before I forget, don't go traipsing off just yet. Emiliane here would have a word with you. Travel in safety, friend, and do pass along my regards to the winged ones. It's good to see your knowledge of Sylphic culture has matured. I see no reason to delay your mission any further. Upon your arrival at Little Solace, seek out a young sylph by the name of Kumuxio. He has served as an intermediary between our people on many an occasion, and has the close ear of his tribe's elder. I see that Hawthorne has finished you with some of the melodious root the sylphs adore. I have something of a far greater import for you to deliver, a missive from the Elder Seedseer herself. To summarize, the letter's contents in brief. It vouches for the integrity of our envoy, that would be you, and restates Gridania's desire to maintain a harmonious relationship with our long-standing friends at the forest. The war with the Ixal has taken a toll on our resources. We can ill afford to get mired in another conflict. I need not impress upon you any further importance of this mission. May the 12 see you return with good tidings. Kumuxio. Walking One is not familiar with this one. This one does not trust any strange walking ones. Strange dancing ones might be a different story, but this one expects no such thing. Walking One should go home and leave this one be. This one would welcome Walking One with moves like these ones. If Walking One should talk to this one will answer. This one is Busy One, so Walking One should speak with Quick Tongue. Walking One would bring gift to this one. Walking One is most kind. Walking One brings Milk Root. Milk Root fills this one with great joy. This one gives thanks. Gives many thanks. Many, many thanks. Walking One carries message for Elder One. This one will deliver the message to Elder One. Walking One should not worry. Hello there. We're envoys from Gridania, and we're here to treat with your people. Aye, we've come to pay our respects to your elder and learn from him more of your Lord Ramu. Who are these ones? These Walking Ones come from Gridania? Walking One's become a dancing one and brought Milk Root, but Walking One tricks this one. This one does not like tricks. This one will speak no more. Elder One is busy. Walking One should go home. Go home, you say? But the Sylphs of Little Solace have always welcomed Gridanian envoys with open wings. The letter carried by Lendriel here is an oath of peace penned by Elder Seedseer herself. Still, you would refuse us? This one's reasons are no business of Walking Ones. Elder Ones has no words for Gridania. Walking Ones waste everyone's time. Well, I never. Turned away at the gates. Whatever did we do to deserve such a rude welcome? Was Lendriel's jig insufficiently jiggy? I'm as baffled as you, but something tells me recent events have our erstwhile fluttery friends feeling uncommonly wary. It would seem we have no choice but to ask around and see how we might earn their trust. More drugs. It's the only answer. The only way to please the Sylph. More drugs. Say, Lendriel, are you in the mood for dancing? That's right, dancing. You went through all the trouble to learn the Sylph's traditional greeting, but you greeted hardly any of them. Why, if I were a Sylph, I'd be beside myself with delight to see an adventurer expressing interest in my culture. Me? Of course I'd be happy to join. Ow! Ow! There goes the bloody leg cramps of mine acting up again. Okay. Okay, Ida. Oh, Walking One knows Jolly Dance. Jolly Dance fills this one with good cheer. Let these two be friends. Walking One would be a friend to these ones? This one is overjoyed, but this one keeps the ways of weaving a secret. Even if Walking One learned the secret, Walking One could not weave in the same way. Ah, Walking One is friend to these ones. Friendly like gracious Elder One of Forest City, knows how to dance into these ones' hearts. Dancing, the only language understood by all. Lendriel, would you like to hear the good news or the better news? The good news is that your lovely dancing has brought smiles and high spirits to all of Little Solace. The better news? Why, I've thoroughly recovered from those accursed leg cramps. Onward to our next adventure. Lendriel, as an adventurer, you're no stranger to helping distressed folk, I wager. Tales of good deeds are quick to spread. The adventurer who comes to the aid of the local populace can go from stranger to hero overnight. No doubt you see what I'm getting at. The Sylphs who make their home in Little Solace do so having been driven from their woodland home. Surely they have their fair share of troubles. Seek out troubled Sylphs and see what might be done to ease their worries. A sound plan, would you not say? That said, Sylphs are not known to share their worries with outsiders. You would be better off inquiring with Hearer Amelia, of the Gridanians, who reside here. She is most likely to be privy to the Sylph's troubles. Praise be the elementals! I cannot express how happy I am to see an adventurer with a truly gentle heart. The Sylphs of Little Solace are sorely in need of aid. Pray, hear me out. Why didn't we start by talking to her? Being a temporary settlement, Little Solace wants for amenities, not least a stout set of defenses. Consequently, the beasts from Malm's arounds are free to wander in and terrorize the hapless residents. The Ziz Gorlins and Gall Gnats that roam these parts are especially troublesome, but slaying one of each should serve as a warning to the rest. Furthermore, perhaps you could gather 3 brownie brushes as well. They play an important role in Sylphic culture. I do not claim to know the details, and with such a feral beast prowling the forest, they are not easy to come by. When you are done with the deeds, seek out Kamuxio. He is slow to warm to outsiders, but your good intentions will not be lost on him. My own experience speaks to this. Due to how milkweed is, I can't help but wonder if these brownie bushes are also drug analogies. Legend says that Eorzea was once inhabited by a race of tiny creatures called brownies. They would use the spores of this particular mushroom to paint their faces for battle. Also, there might be other references, but I've literally never, that's the first time I've heard of brownies in lore. So that's interesting. And I wonder when they would have existed if they're not just mythological creatures or peoples. If they existed during the first astral era? I mean, Gridania is home to some Mughals, or the Black Shroud is home to some Mughals, which then you would think could make some sense if why they might no longer be around. Oh, is that Uchiwa? Nope, that's just me. I don't care. We know the Mughals were around during the first astral era. It's because basically it's thanks to them that we know that the first Umbral era was one of wind. So if we keep that in mind, then it's possible that the brownies in some way would be a known entity by the Mughals, or at least contemporaries with them at that time. Dancing One is still here? Dancing One can dance all night. This one's trust is not so easily earned. Dancing One brings brownie bushes for this one? This one can dye thread once more. This one is pleased. Dancing One kills Bitey Buzzy One. This one hates Bitey Buzzy Ones. Dancing One is kind. Too kind. Many walking ones come to these ones' abode, but few are friendly like Dancing One. Perhaps this one was wrong not to trust Dancing One after all. This one asks Dancing One for forgiveness. These ones have many troubles. Since Walking One last came to our abode, this one must be careful, always careful. But Dancing One is not like Walking One, other Walking Ones. This one can trust Dancing One. This one would ask Dancing One for help. Strange Walking Ones with bodies of steel come to the home of these ones. This one thinks steel ones come from Empire. Where Empire goes, many living ones become dead ones. Trees fall and bushes burn. These ones' these ones' homes are in danger. Danger! This one begs of Dancing One to help. This one knows more. Dancing One is friends with these ones and Walking One. Yes? Dancing One must speak to these ones here and Walking One in Hut House and find out more. This one has bad feeling. This one fears steel ones are after something. But this one should speak no more. Go Dancing One. This one depends on kindness of Dancing One. Strange steel walking ones? Yes, this one has seen steel walking ones carry big boxes. Maybe walking ones hunt for shiny treasure. This one likes treasure. If anyone is around, can you quick tell me how close I am to 1,000 laws? This one says steel walking ones are scary, like touched ones. This one hates scary, and scary ones have scary friends. Men clad in strange armor? Why, now that you mention it, I did see some suspicious types of late. They're gathering deep in the forest. I simply assumed they were adventurers. They wear uniforms. Does he not know the fucking Garlean uniform? Fearsome types clad head to toe in steel, you say? Imperial soldiers, no doubt. I couldn't tell you what they're plotting, but I'm sure it's nothing good. See, I personally feel the Garmul is most famous for its, humanitarian efforts, arriving in outside city-states and proffering aid. This one is happy to see Dancing One return. What did Dancing One learn? Koji had too much fun with this. This one sees steel walking ones come from Empire, carry boxes and go walking deep, deep through trees. As this one thought, steel walking ones are up to nasty, no good things. This one knows forest well. Steel walking ones try to hide, but this one will find them. This one would borrow Dancing One's map. This one makes mark, right here. This is where Steel One hides. This one knows. Dancing One will go looking for Steel Ones, yes? Oh, interesting. We're not going into the Sylphlands. I guess that makes sense. The Sylphlands is actually higher level. Gotcha. Didn't even get an attack off. Oh, nope. What am I doing? What does this say? Hazardous within. Hazard within. That's what it says. Actually, I wonder... Is it high enough resolution? No, it's not high enough resolution to read. Dancing One is back? This one breathed a sigh of relief. This one was worried. Dancing One found something? Dancing One found paper inside of the box? This is message from Empire. This one can read Walking One's symbols. Message paper has names of food and rocks. Food and rocks were inside box. This one knows. But this one does not understand. Food and rocks mentioned all come from the home of these ones. How do Steel Walking Ones know to find them? Is there a sneaky one hiding behind this one's wings? Snooping one selling secrets to Steel Walking One? This one fears for this one's home, but Dancing One has helped this one much. Today, Dancing One must promise to always be friends to these ones. I'm just gonna look up MSQ real quick. I just want to see, because we're starting to run low on time. I want to see. Yeah, we still got a bit to go, so I'm going to go ahead and finish this one, and then we'll probably stop there. Helpful ones arrive at good time. This one needs helpful ones' help. One of these ones named Claxio ventured outside Little Solace alone. Alone is unsafe. Helpful one must find Claxio. Claxio struck west after leaving the settlement. Hurry before Claxio ends up in the belly of a beastly one. Up and away! What? Walking One wants this one to return to Little Solace? Don't make this one laugh. This one is weary of living with those who are not these ones. This one wants to be alone. These ones rely on Walking Ones for everything. No better than those ones that summoned a primal one. Small wonder this one chose to leave. This one thought this is likely place to build home. But then Meddling One arrives, forces this one to go deeper into forest. Meddling One is forbidden from following this one. Away with Meddling One. What? Claxio refused to return to these ones and went deeper into the forest? But this one saw touched ones lurking in the forest. Help! One must hurry. Hurry and find Claxio. Helpful one should search for spools of thread on the forest floor. These things will lead helpful one to Claxio. But hurry. Hurry before touched ones take Claxio away. Meddling One is back? This one told Meddling One to be gone. Tell Komuxio that this one will never go back. Never. Touched ones should go away too. This one is good one. Everyone should just leave this one alone. Be on guard, Lendriel. These sylphs have been tempered, brought under the thrall of the primal Ramu. Akin to a Malja tempered by Ifrit, these sylphs exist only to serve their deity. They'll not answer to words, only steal. I take no pleasure in this, but it must be done. This one is safe? This one was so scared. Claxio, this one has been worried, so very worried. Is Claxio unharmed? Still in possession of wits? Komuxio? And the meddling one as well? Why are these two here? These two came to rescue Claxio. That Claxio is safe fills this one with joy. Komuxio, forgive this one. This one did not mean to run away from Little Solace. This one was just afraid. These ones who live at Little Solace were changing, becoming friendly with other ones. This one feared that these ones were forgetting who these ones are, like touched ones did. But this one was wrong. This one can see that now. Meddling, helpful one. This one is grateful. This one will return to Little Solace to be with Komuxio and friendly ones. That should see that. Why say we return to Little Solace as well? I, for one, could do with a nice hot bath. Couldn't we all after dealing with Morble? If you ever get a chance when you're playing, sometimes just take a second to just pause and look at the world. Stare at the sky. Appreciate the grandeur and beauty of even the small spaces. This one thought Claxio was lost forever. Helpful one saved Claxio. Now these ones can be family again. This one has known many walking ones, even many kind walking ones, but Helpful One is the kindest and strongest of all. Helpful One is a hero to these ones. Helpful One will bring these ones walking ones closer together. This one knows this one would take Helpful One to see Elder Seedseer. But Elder One is Elder One. What is Elder One like? We'll find out next time. Thanks for watching, everybody. Make sure to like and subscribe to this channel, but also check out our primary channel, the Eorzean Archives. And if you could, you should definitely come join our Discord where we talk about lore and all sorts of Final Fantasy 14 related things on the regular. And if you're feeling, kind of, supportive, feel free to join our Patreon and get all sorts of little goodies that we provide there. It does a lot to help support us and make it so that we can continue not only to do this work in our free time, but hopefully at some point that I can do this full time. Thank you very much, and have a great day.